Well, when you go to a basketball game, it's March here in Indiana, and we got March Madness, and basketball brackets are all being filled out, and tournaments are being played. But when you get to the game, it should be pretty easy to tell one team from the other. Either one team's wearing a light colored jersey and the other dark, or the other way around. And on the football field, on the tennis, even on the tennis court, but not so much on the tennis court. But the basketball, the track team all has the same kind of jersey and the different numbers. It's easy to tell one team from the other. That's the whole point. That's really the point of wearing jerseys, so that you can put this one on, be identified as a member of this particular team or the opponent, home and visitors or home and guests. And it's pretty important. When you're playing the game, if it's a basketball game, it's pretty important to know I can pass the ball to somebody wearing the same jersey that I'm wearing. I should not pass the ball. If our team is all in white, I should not pass the ball to the team in dark blue or the team in red. I should not pass the ball to somebody that's not on my team. And that's kind of where Paul's going with his next turn in this letter to the Corinthian church. He says, "But in giving this instruction, I do not praise you, because you come together not for the better, but for the worse. For in the first place, when you come together as a church, I hear that divisions exist among you, and in part I believe it. For there must also be factions among you, so that those who are approved may become evident among you." He's saying, when you come together as a church to fellowship, to worship, to come around the Lord's table, to sing together, to study the apostles' doctrine together, when you come together, it's not for the better, but for the worse. I'm thinking that is a pretty harsh challenge to the believers there in Corinth. And I, for one, am so glad that that church was messed up, because they were messed up in a lot of the same ways that the church today is messed up. And they needed to hear how to get straightened out. And we need to hear how to get straightened out. So let's pay attention here when Paul is saying there are some people that gather together with the church that are wearing the wrong jersey. And it needs to be evident. Their faction needs to be recognizable, so that the rest of the congregation can recognize and acknowledge the division. So when there's division in the church today, when there's division in a family or in a marriage, it's usually because one or both are not following Jesus. Either one has said, I'm not going to follow Jesus, I'm going to go my own way. And the other has said, I'm not going to follow Jesus either, and I'm going to go my own way. Or one of them is following Christ, and the other one is not. And so there's a faction, there's a split, there's a division. And that was happening in the church at Corinth. It happens in the churches today. It doesn't mean that the church is bad, not at all. But it does mean that we need to recognize division. Is it personalities? Is it doctrine? Is it practice that the Bible addresses? Or practice that's in the area of opinion? And then he's going to get to this here in a little bit with this letter. The love that Christ has shared with us needs to be radiated, needs to be shared with those around us. First within our home, our personal marriages and homes, and then within the church family, and then to the community around us. And it's that love for Christ that will clarify his design for his church and for my life. And then it's your love for me that will cover a multitude of sins, and my love for you that will cover a multitude of sins and bind us together in the Holy Spirit. But this idea of factions and divisions is, I hate to say that it's common but it really is, because the church is full of people. So let's recognize that we're people, flawed and working to discover what Jesus wants and do that. For his sake and for your sake and for my sake, let's look at the church at Corinth and admit that we are very much like the church at Corinth. And listen as the Apostle Paul challenges us to submit to the design and the authority of Christ in everything. And he then will bring healing to the division. He'll bring wholeness to the family. And what a sweet fellowship it is when he accomplishes that. When there's friction between you and a brother or sister, deal with it straightforward, in love, with a passion and an intent to experience healing and restoration and wholeness. God bless you. He loves you.